So if you like karaoke or just singing in the bathroom, then this is a little toy for you. And if you know little kids, I dare you to make one of these, put it down in a room full of toddlers and watch what happens. This is hilarious. And if you know anybody who loves music, or if you've caught somebody singing in the shower, this would make a great little stocking stuffer. It's a stuffed microphone, and there is nothing super difficult about it. It is all fun. It is all great. We are gonna make one today. So let's rock on over to the craft table. Yeah! Moonwalk offset. Oh yeah. Okay, in order to make our microphone, we're going to need two kinds of yarn. We're going to need a silvery gray. Any silvery gray you've got lying around would be just fine. I'm using an acrylic. This is a acrylic worsted weight, some random ball left over I had, and some black worsted weight acrylic as well. It doesn't matter what size yarn you use, it's just a good rule of thumb to make sure that both the yarns are roughly the same size. That way you don't have any strange perspective issues with the toy you're going to make. I'm going to use my 4.25 millimeter hook, or the G6. It's my favorite, and I feel that it works best with this size yarn. I've also got a yarn needle, a pair of scissors, and some stuffing. And this is such a simple project that that is really all you need. So we're going to start with the head of the microphone. We're going to make a cinch circle because this project is made in the round. So we make a loop, take our hooks, go through the loop, grab the yarn, wrap the yarn, and chain one. And that secures our cinch circle. And we're just going to single crochet this entire project, much like a lot of the other amigurumi that I do. And we're going to put 8 single crochet into this cinch circle. And we're going to use a baseline of 8 because I feel that 8 is sort of a nice flat number to use. It kind of creates a bottom that's not too tiny, and it's a good number to sort of stretch out from. At least that's my humble opinion. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more. 7 and 8. 8 single crochet. Cinch shut that circle. There we go. And we're going to double it up because this is an ever increasing circle. So we're going to go 2 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And I'm going to work over my little tail here to make sure that it just gets nicely woven in. I'm going to weave it in so that it's woven. Yeah. 15 and 16. Ta-da! All right, now we're going to keep going. So I'm going to do 2 single crochet into the next stitch and 1 single crochet into the next stitch after that, and I'm going to repeat that 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around so that we go from 16 to 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 23, 24. All right, it's my third row, and remember, it's really good to count as you go. This way you don't necessarily have to use a stitch marker. Of course you can if you feel that that's the easiest thing for you to do, but I've just completed 24. The other thing you can do is just count all of your external stitches, and you should have 24 all the way around. And if you haven't got 24, it's because you haven't finished your row. So now we're going to go to row 4. Row 4 is our last row of increase. We're going to increase from 24 to 32. So that's 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, followed by a single, and then 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, all the way around, and that will give us 32. 1, 2, 3, 31, 32. All right. I've completed my 4th row. I now have 32 stitches running around the outside of my circle. So we went from 8 to 16 to 24 to 32. that's it for the increase. Now we're just going to single crochet into every single stitch all the way around, and we're going to do that for at least 4 rows. And this is so we can create a nice round ball. Now, because everybody's stitching is a little different than the next person's, you may feel that 4 rows of straight single crochet is enough and your ball looks like it's going to be nice and round. You may feel that you need an extra row to make it as round as you like. That is up to you, and I will let you decide how many rows you need. But I recommend that you start with at least 4. So four rows of single crochet in each stitch all the way around. That will bring us up to row 8, and you will have a stitch count of 32 at the end of each of the next 4 rows. And once you've finished all of your straight single crochet, then come on back and we'll close up our ball. Okay, I have completed 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of straight single crochet. Now I know that if I want this to be more of a ball shape, I'm going to have to add a couple more rows. If you've used a chunkier yarn or a bigger hook, you may find that your 4 rows look like they've covered enough distance before you start making it smaller again. So you don't have to add any more rows if you don't want to. However, if you want to add another row or 2, I'm just going to add 2 more rows of straight single crochet, making this 6 rows of straight single crochet. So you had your increase rows, and then you had your just your plain rows of single crochet. For me, that's going to be 6, and if you want to go ahead and add a couple more, you can do that. And if you're content with the number of straight rows that you have single crocheted, then you can either just watch me do this or watch the page turn and we'll get into the decrease. Okie dokie, I have now done 6 straight rows of single crochet. So there's my start point, and you can tell because there's my initial ring and then it goes bump as it turns into row 2, and I count this way. So row 1, 2, 3, 4, those were our increase rows, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 rows of straight single crochet. That is definitely going to be big enough and round enough for me. So now we are going to start the decrease. So we're going to do the first row of decrease, and we are going to single crochet 2 stitches together, and you do that by bringing up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches so that you have 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook. If you were only doing a single crochet, you'd have 2, but we're single crocheting 2 stitches together. Wrap your yarn, pull it back through all 3 loops, and that is a decrease stitch. And we're going to single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to decrease again, so single crochet 2 stitches together, and you're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so we've finished our first decrease row. That brings us back down to 24, and if you're not sure, go ahead and count your stitches. And we're just going to pull up a loop, put our hook aside for a second, and now we're going to put in that funny little seam that runs right through the middle of most microphones. And now you know what I'm talking about. You see the big silver ball, and there's always sort of like a seam where the 2 pieces have come together. And you don't have to do this, but this is kind of a neat technique, and I thought that this was a fun way to teach it. So you're going to grab your black yarn, and really you can use any color here you want. If you wanted to use white, or you wanted to maybe use maybe a darker gray, or just more, well, any color you want really. But all you're going to do is you're going to make a slip knot. Okay, and you're actually going to take your hook, pass it through the center of what's going to be your circle. So if you want to count, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows in my case of single crochet all the way around. So I'm just going to sort of poke it right down in the middle. It doesn't have to be the exact middle. You're going to stick your hook through, pick up the hook, I should say the loop now. So that's going to come up on your hook, and you're just going to pull it back up through Not all the way. You don't want the knot part to come out. You just want your hook and the loop to be out. Then you're going to work through each space between the stitches all the way along. And this is going to take a little bit of fancy finger work, but this is why I say it's sort of a neat way to try this sort of technique. So you're just going to grab the yarn and pull it back up through that loop, and you are going to create a daisy chain all the way along the outside of your microphone. And you're going to do this all the way around in a circle. Try not to be too tight. You want it to be kind of loose because you don't want to tighten. You don't want to create sort of a gathering belt. You just want to create a nice little seam, so to speak, around the outside of your microphone. And you just travel all the way around the outside of your microphone, putting your hook through into the middle, so into the back side, grabbing the yarn, pulling it back, and pulling it directly through that loop you created. And as you can see, it makes this really neat chain row all the way around the top side of your microphone. Now this is a cool technique to use for darn near anything. If you are putting lines, or if you're writing, or if you're creating little smiley faces, or just about anything that you need lines chained onto the outside of some fabric, you can do this. And I have even done this on sweaters in the past, so sweaters that I thought needed a little refresher. I've just grabbed my yarn and just kind of doodly-dooed all over it. And we're just going to do this all the way around. Okay, as you come around to finish off your little seam, you're going to notice that you're going to be just a bit off if you've been following the row all the way along. That's because this is crocheted in the round. No big deal. You're just going to cheat up into that same stitch, and no one will ever be the wiser. So this is what you do now. You pull up that loop. So after you've gone into the same stitch that you started with, pull up a loop, take your hook, and you're going to go up through that same stitch. See that? So your hook comes up through the same stitch. You're going to grab the loop. If you have to make it a little smaller, go ahead and do that. You're going to pull it down back into the underside. Snip your yarn and fasten off. There you go. And there we have, if you made that a little too tight, you can pull up a little bit on it. There we go. There's that seam that runs around the outside of the microphone. Okay, so that's it for that part. Now we're going to continue with the decrease. So we're going to put our hook back in our loop, and we're going to continue decreasing. So now instead of decrease single crochet 2 together, single single, we're going to single crochet 2 together and then single crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to do that all the way around and bring your stitch count from 24 down to 16. 2 together, 1, 15, and 16. There we go. Okay, we're going to do one more row of decrease, and then we're going to stuff it. And if you feel that your hole is getting kind of small and you want to start stuffing it now, go ahead. But you should be at 16 stitches all the way around. We are now going to single crochet 2 together all the way around until we have a stitch count of 8. 1, 2, and 8. Okay, pull up a loop, gonna grab your stuffing, and we're gonna start stuffing our microphone. Remember to stuff in little bits. This way you get nice even coverage on the inside. Alright, and once you've got all the stuffing in there that you like, and I think that's enough for me, that looks pretty round, we're going to continue to just close the hole right up. So we're going to single crochet 2 together just once, and then we are going to slip stitch around the posts. So you see what I did here? This is the post. It's this little vertical post that sits underneath each of the stitches of the previous row. You're just going to slip your hook in underneath it and out through the other sort of space underneath that stitch, and you're going to slip stitch through that. And you're going to do that all the way around. And the act of sort of slip stitching through these posts just sort of creates a neat cinch up of the little hole. Now this doesn't have to be completely tightly stitched shut, because we will be sewing the post of our microphone, or the handle of it, over top of this, obviously, because it's going to connect at the bottom. But you're just going to do a few of those, and that pretty much neatly closes up the little space. Going to snip our yarn, and we're going to pull through to fasten off, and we're going to weave in our tail. And once you've weaved or woven in your tail, you can see that pretty much closes up the hole. There's the top of our microphone. Yeah! Alright, so put that aside, put the gray aside, and we're going to grab our black. Now, obviously, you can make the handle part of your microphone any color you want. Heck, you can even make the microphone top any color you want. I'm just sort of trying to stick with the traditional looking microphone colors, and I'm going to go with the silver and the black. So we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to work our way up. We're just making a nice tall cylinder. This is nothing super special or difficult. We're going to create a slip knot. We're going to make a cinch circle. And you know, I like to do these sort of with my hook. So you pull up a loop, and before you let go of everything, just chain one, and that makes your cinch circle. Stay put, mostly. Now, into that cinch circle, we're going to single crochet 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Grab your little tail, pull it tight, and we're just going to continue single crocheting in the round. So we're not going to increase yet. We're just going to, if we can find it, there it is. Hard to see. I realize I'm using black. Maybe this isn't the best thing to use, but you know what I'm doing. We're going to continue single crocheting into each stitch all the way around, so that you always have a row of 8. And you're going to do this for 6 rows. Okay, I know it's difficult to see, but there is 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this is a slightly thicker yarn that I'm using, and I've actually put it over top of my finger so that you can see it a bit better. I want my handle for my microphone to be about 5 inches long, or the length of my finger plus a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another 10 rows, just going around and around and around, straight single crochet, only 8 stitches per row. And as soon as I think that it's tall enough, that's where I'm going to end it. So you guys can make your handle for your microphone as long as you want, or as short as you want. It depends on who you think you're giving it to. But I'm going to make mine about that long. So I'm going to add another 10 rows on top of the 6 that I've already done. Okay, I have now completed 16 rows of just straight single crochet all the way around. I'm going to show you what this looks like right now. So there you go. That's about as long as I want my handle to be. But I want to put like a little bit of a base on the bottom of it. So I'm just going to make a row of increase in the following manner. So I have a base number of 8. I'm going to go from 8 to 12. So I'm going to single crochet twice in the next stitch. That's 2. Once in the next stitch, twice in the next stitch, once in the next stitch, so I'm at 6, 2 times, once, 2 times, once. And you always count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ta-da! So now just going to do maybe 2 rows all the way around of straight single crochet, and I'll show you what this has done. This is basically, it's created kind of like a little, almost like a little platform that will be a bit bigger for the ball to sit in. It kind of looks like what the bottom of a microphone does. It's not a straight stick into a ball. It's a stick with a little bit of an extra bump, and then the ball. I have no idea what any of these technical terms are for a microphone. If you guys do, comment down below. I just know what things look like. Now, you could also be counting. You could also be using a stitch marker to keep your place if you want. If you're like me, I just tend to look for my start point, which is right there. But like I said, you can use a stitch marker. Anyway, as long as you get the shape you want. Now, do you see that it kind of makes it a little bit bigger here? So that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to add an increased row and then 2 more straight rows of single crochet. This is a final row of 12. I'm going to slip stitch into the last stitch to fasten off. And I'm going to leave like a pretty long string because I'm actually going to sew it to the microphone top with this string. So I'm going to fasten off. Now we want to put some stuffing in here, and this is where it's sort of handy to have a bigger crochet hook. If you're nimble, you know, you can sort of stick it down with your finger, maybe get it started that way, but you're going to want to like use your crochet hook to just get it tucked down to the bottom. Don't overstuff it. You don't want it to be, you know, you don't want it to be ridiculously firm. It should have a little bit of bendability because after all, this is still technically a stuffed toy. It's not like you're going to have wires or anything running through it. But you don't want it to be squishy. You kind of want to be able to pick it up and have it work like a handle should. So don't overstuff it, but don't understuff it. Give it a little roll. That kind of evens out all the stuffing. A little bit more. Good. All right. See? Just to the top. Now, I'm going to grab my yarn needle, thread up that yarn, get my hooks out of the way. Now, I'm going to wear this little bump back here, which will eventually disappear as I fiddle with it. That's another thing, guys. Don't be afraid to fiddle with your stuff. Something looks a little bent, bend it the other way. It's your work of art. You can lay hands all over it. So I'm going to pick a back. I think this will be my back point. And I'm going to line that up with the first stitch. So I'm just going to, nothing super fancy here. I'm just going to put it directly in the bottom middle of my microphone. And I am going to sew around by picking up a couple stitches. So the top of a stitch along the bottom of my microphone ball, and then I will pick up a stitch along the handle. And you know, once you add a couple of these, it'll be a little easier to manipulate. But if if you find this a bit tricky, don't rush this process. Just do one stitch at a time, and after you've completed a stitch, make sure it's still in the right place. Move it around if you have to, and then do the next stitch. And that goes for any little crafty project you put together. The nice thing about making things stitch by stitch is that you can stop at every stitch if you need to make sure that it's still doing exactly what you want it to. Mine seems to be on the right track, so I'm just going to finish sewing this, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, I have finished sewing. This is so hilarious. I have finished sewing my handle to the bottom of the ball. So I'm just going to create a quick little knot. Nothing sensational. I'm going to knot it once, nice and tight. And then I'm just going to weave it through a few of the stitches up top, just to make sure that it's not going to unravel on me. There we go. And once I think there's enough of it in there, I'm just going to trim off the excess. And now you are ready to karaoke like a superstar. So there you go, everybody. One microphone for all you rock stars out there, and anybody else you know who thinks this might be a lot of fun. Put it into a party, and just a bunch of adults hanging around. I'm sure they'll have fun with it too. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We love it when you do. And I promise I won't sing anymore. And yeah, we'll see you really soon for another fun episode of Stitching Up Silly Things. Stay tuned. We've got other stuff like hats coming as well. I know I've been getting lots of requests for hats, so we have an awesome hat tutorial coming very soon. Promise, promise. Yeah, that's it. We will see you again soon, everybody. Thanks so much. Peace out.